Hello, I'm Dr. Craig Childress. I'm a clinical psychologist in Pasadena, California, and I specialize in working with children and families around issues of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, parent-child relationship problems, angry, oppositional, defiant children, marital problems, things like that. Now, in this video series, I've been discussing a particular type of parent-child relationship issue that I refer to as a parental alienation dynamic. And in this video segment, I'm going to begin to address the child's treatment needs relative to resolving the alienation processes within the family. Now, central to resolving the alienation processes will be to address and successfully resolve the child's primary DSM-IV diagnosis of the shared psychotic disorder, the shared delusional disorder. Until and unless we're able to successfully resolve the shared delusional disorder, all of our other treatment efforts are likely to be unsuccessful. Now, in order to address the shared delusional disorder, it becomes very important to understand what is the nature of the fused psychological state between the alienating parent and the child that allows for the transfer of the parent's psychopathology to the child. In addition, it becomes important to understand what is the nature of the delusional disorder that is being transferred to the child. In this video segment, I'm going to address the nature of that shared psychological state. Now, from my perspective, that shared psychological enmeshment between the child and the alienating parent involves a hyperactivation of a particular relationship system called intersubjectivity. This relationship system of intersubjectivity has been extensively studied in early childhood mental health by people such as Daniel Stern and Ed Tronick and Colin Trevarthen and others. Ed Tronick out at Harvard referred to the intersubjective state as a dyadic state of consciousness. I love that phrase, a dyadic state of consciousness, where two people share an internal subjective experience with each other. Now, this intersubjective field has as its neurological substrate, its neurological base, a set of brain cells called mirror neurons. And mirror neurons essentially allow us to feel what other people experience as if we were having that experience ourselves. There's a wonderful little PBS show by the program Nova having to do with mirror neurons. It's well worth watching. If you Google search Nova and mirror neurons, this program will come up. And so this mirror neuron system allows us to feel what other people feel as if we were having that experience ourselves. It's what allows us to go into a movie theater and feel what the actors feel in the movies, as if we were having that experience ourselves. Now, when we do that, when we feel what actors are feeling, we never lose our psychological orientation as to what is our own feeling and what is that from the actors. And so we're always able to maintain that sense of ourselves even when we feel what other people are experiencing. And yet we can have this shared state with other people, this shared psychological state. And this system of intersubjectivity in the mirror neuron network is a really important relationship system in early childhood development and healthy development. And in healthy development, there's a couple of relationship features that are particularly important in the development of this shared psychological state. The first is a process called attunement, whereby the parent resonates with the child's internal experience. The parent is attuned to the child's internal experience. And by that entering a resonant state with the child's internal experience, the parent helps to bring meaning and organization to the child's internal experience. So they help the child understand what is the meaning of the child's internal experience. In addition, there's another relationship process that's important for healthy psychological development in childhood. It's called the breach and repair sequence. And this involves a relationship pattern in which the parent and child start off in this shared intersubjective field or shared subjective state, and then the child asserts authentic self into the relationship, authentic separateness into the relationship. And so now there's two separate people. And typically that produces a little bit of pain, a little bit of angry, and so there's a conflict between the two. And then ultimately they resolve the conflict and re-engage their shared subjective experience or intersubjective field. And so there's a breach and repair sequence. And in those breach and repair sequences, is the formation of the child's authentic sense of self. Okay, so the child doesn't always remain in this shared subjective state, but expresses authentic self into it and helps develop this differentiation. And it's this process of breach and repair that ultimately allows us to feel what actors feel in the movies without losing a sense of who we are. We have a separate sense of self, even when we experience what other people are experiencing, feeling. Now, within the alienation process, however, this entire relationship pattern is flipped on its head. And so instead of breach and repair sequences, the parent and the child maintain almost a constant state of intersubjective fusion. And this has to do with some of the early childhood relationship patterns of the beta parent that I discuss in a separate set of videos on the transgenerational transmission of trauma. And in addition, the beta parent subtly but actively negates the child's inner experience and construction of meaning, so that when the child expresses some construction of meaning separate from the beta parent or the alienating parent, that parent expresses disapproval and invalidation for that construction of meaning. And in turn, the beta parent, alienating parent, asserts a separate or different meaning onto the child's inner experience through the force and power of this narcissistic confidence and narcissistic authority. And so the alienating parent, the beta parent, overwhelms the child's internal sense of meaning and internal sense of experience. And rather than the beta parent resonating with the child's internal experience, the child resonates with the parent's internal experience. So the directionality of the attunement is wrong. The parent is not helping the child organize the meaning of the child's inner experience. Instead, the child is resonating with the adult's inner experience and is adopting the meaning construction of the adult. And so in this process, the parent, the beta parent, the alienating parent, and the child maintain an extensive, too extensive, and intersubjective fusion without sufficient breach sequences and without the adult attuning to or resonating with the child's internal experience. And so ultimately, this intersubjective system is hyperactivated. This mirror neuron system is hyperactivated. It's on too long, too powerfully, and too one-directionally from the parent to the child, so that the child ultimately loses orientation as to what is their authentic experience and what is being imported from the psychological state of the parent. So it's as if the child is in a movie theater watching a movie, believing what the actors in the movie are feeling is actually what the child is feeling themselves. Okay, so there's a loss of orientation, the loss of boundaries having to do with authentic experience versus the importation through the mirror neuron network, through this intersubjective system, into the child. So the child is experiencing the alienating parent's construction of meaning and psychological self-structure as if it was authentic to the child. And that's the nature of the psychotic disorder, the shared delusional or the shared enmeshed psychological state that allows for the transfer of the alienating parent's psychopathology to the child. And in the next video segment, I'll discuss the nature of the delusional disorder that's being transferred.